Great to see you, Mark.
Good to see you, John.
You know, Brandon Johnson coming into office, you always like to give these guys a little bit of a grace period. The issue here, though, is Brandon Johnson seems to be doubling down on a lot of Lori Lightfoot's policies, including the sanctuary city policy. He says the city of Chicago can handle the influx of migrants. What do you say, Mark?
Well, John, it's absolutely not true. And here in Chicago, we still have 18,000 men and women who were formerly incarcerated in the city of Chicago that are still homeless. We have to fix our own home before we welcome others into our home. And listen, John, my heart breaks for these families, men, women, and children who have gone through dangerous conditions to seek a better life here in the United States. But what I don't agree with is our Democratic elected officials treating them as political pawns, where they are preferencing them, these migrants, over veterans, over single parents. I've spoken with organizations all across the Chicagoland suburbs, and they're getting inundated with phone calls not to help our own residents, but to help these migrants that are coming in. There's no room for them.
None. I'm still struck, too. The videos, everyone's probably seen it. The residents of South Shore, the community in Chicago, they are taxpayers, and they are being expected to fit the bill when the city of Chicago wants to convert a school in their neighborhood into a migrant shelter. Mark, I have to think that there are new Republican voters being spawned based on some of what they're seeing in their own communities. They're not voting for this.
No, you're absolutely right. And what the Democrats are doing, John, is creating a perfect storm, because we can't forget that in 2024, Chicago will be hosting the Democratic National Convention at the same time that crime continues to rise. Carjackings, there were 7 carjackings in 1 week just 2 weeks ago. There's no doubt that this is angering residents in particularly in the black communities in the south and west sides of Chicago, who are desperate for help, desperate because their communities, crime is so high in their communities, desperate because they don't have food, they don't have jobs, there are no opportunities, but they're seeing their own Democratic elected officials show more preference to migrants than to their own constituents in their own districts.
Yeah, it's going to be a very disjointed event and visual. You mark my words, Mark, at the convention there's going to be a special night, a special tribute to all these undocumented migrants, as the Democrats will call them, and they'll take credit for rescuing them from these horrible conditions, the root causes in their home countries, just like they tried to take credit for everyone they evacuated out of Afghanistan. The gaslighting will continue, and it'll probably be turned up a notch or two during the DNC there in Chicago. Great to see you, Mark Vargas. Take care.
And they'll clean up the tent city as well before, of course, the cameras arrive.